In this video, we'll take a look at a program handout and a JEdit window and talk about how to transfer program requirements into your Java document so that you will make sure that you meet the requirements and won't make careless errors. What I have in front of me is the example template. I've named mine Project 6 example, but this could be your Project 6 actual file, starting with that. And then over here in the background I have the Project 6 handout. Okay, so usually when I get started with the project, I will read through the whole project handout once just to get the lay of the land, so to speak, to give myself an overview of what the project is and look at the sample output and get a little more comfortable with what this project is supposed to be. Then I know that I'm going to go through the project handout at least one more time and probably several more times looking for details in different sections. So assume that I've done the first pass. Here is the introductory section and then some program requirements. My whole purpose for this pass through the program requirements document is to look for anything that I can note in my Java file that will then help me to write this program correctly the first time without having to make any changes. So let's get started. In the introduction, here is a basic overview of what this project has to do, and so I'm going to do some copying and pasting. Here's a short description of what the program does. I'm going to copy that and just use it to put it up here at the top. I'm not going to beautify it for now, but because in the interest of time, but you can sort of see what we're doing. This seems like fluff, right? Like you're going to wait till the very end, 5 minutes before you hand in, to write the description. But why not do it now as part of giving yourself a little bit more to work with inside your Java file? Okay, let me move along. Here's the program requirements section, the most important section of the document because this is what you're graded on. And if I just skim down to the bottom of the document for a minute, like here's the grading criteria, which is related to the program requirements. So if you go down to the grading criteria in section 8 and you think, I don't understand one of these criteria, then that would be the time to scroll back up to the program requirements and see what you might be missing. So going to the top of the program requirements, my first requirement is named constants. So I want to see, is there anything that I can put for notes for myself inside my program that will help me so that I don't have to keep coming back into the program requirements and trying to remember what's required. You want to minimize the number of times that you're switching back and forth between the project description in the PDF and your actual JEdit, because it's just so confusing to switch documents all the time, and then you're likely to miss something or forget something. So we're going to go very methodically through each one of these requirement sections and try to transfer as much information into the Java file so that you'll have it all in front of you when you're coding. Okay, please choose two named constants declared in the main method to hold values for the low and high bound. Okay, I'm going to take this text. It says declared in the main method, so I'm going to go right to the main method and put a to-do item for myself here. These are named constants. Where's the paste? Named constants, values for the low and high bound of the secret number. Fine. Anything else? It says you can name them what you want. Okay, please follow the naming convention. Okay. Naming convention. If this is something that I might forget because I'm a beginning Java coder and I'm still trying to remember everything and there's a lot to remember, this might be a good time to make yourself have to remember less by putting it in front of your eyes in a comment. Remember, naming convention all uppercase. Okay, so far so good. Let's keep going. Treatment of the scanner. Please use only one variable declared in main for the scanner. Okay, I am going to put a note to myself right in main so that because it's telling me I'm going to declare a scanner in main. So just put that in. To do. Great. What else? This says any method that needs the user scanner object should take it as a parameter. I'm also going to make this note to myself right under the place where I probably will be creating that scanner to just remind myself what I'm supposed to be doing with the scanner. Again, this is not just fluffy extra stuff. This is you creating a roadmap of what you're going to do in code so that you have less confusion and you have more precision when you create your program. Moving on to the method requirements. Now this is where we can really do some good work here. These methods are required for this program, so it means you're going to be graded on whether you follow these directions or not. I'm going to go one at a time. So this is a method. The method names are not given. I guess I get to, it says, I get to choose my names, but I have to figure out what they do, and I have to have the right signature. So I'm going to start up here. Now, I have a big comment that's about to go in that describes what this method does. Well, that's JavaDoc. Let's use JavaDoc here to help us. Plus, then our JavaDoc will be done ahead of time. So this helps us in two ways. I don't have to go back and remember to do the JavaDoc. Might as well. Makes your life easier. Now I'm going to parse through this and read it and figure out how that helps me craft my method header. Given two integers. Given is the keyword here. The only way a method can be given something is in the parameter list, that is, inside the parentheses that follow the method name. So if it says given two integers, I know those are two parameters. Therefore, let me just continue going my whole JavaDoc groove here at param. And what are they for? The low bound and the high bound. Okay, low. I'm going to call them low and high. Low bound. Okay, that gets me through this first clause of the sentence. Now it says return integer in that range. Given two integers, oh actually this is more than what it looks like. Return, a random integer in that range. Let's make that a little easier to read here. Great, that means I can fill in my return statement in the JavaDoc. Random integer in that range. Okay, so random integer between low bound and high bound. And now look what I have here. Complete my JavaDoc. I have a beautiful template for my method. I haven't written the method yet, but now I know exactly what it takes for parameters, and I know what it should be returning. So now I have a nice thing that I can fill in later, and I can just say to do method definition. I'm going to do one more and then leave you to do the third one. Given a scanner, prompt the user for their level and return the integer that represents that level. Okay. If the user types a number that is out of bounds, okay, so I think I will put this whole thing in here, and maybe it is the implementation details belong in a comment inside the method, but I'll decide that in a minute. For now, I'm just going to say baseline. Given a scanner, prompt the user for their level, beginner, intermediate, or expert, and return an integer that represents that level. Okay, this next part, I'm not sure if it should be up here in the description. It seems more like an implementation detail, but I'll leave it in here for now and maybe leave it later and deal with it later. Again, starting to look through this description. Given a scanner, that means a scanner is in the parentheses or the parameter list. At param, I don't know what to call it, keyboard in scan, scanner for taking user input, and then okay, prompt the user, doesn't describe anything about parameters, but return an integer that represents that level. Okay, I can put that in. That return integer representing the user's selected level. Okay, fine. Done. To do method definition. So if you do this method, you have already created your JavaDoc, so that part's done, and now you have a nice template for what you're going to need to do in the code that exactly matches the program requirements in the document, which means now you don't need to switch back and forth to the document all the time to look to see what you might be forgetting. You put it in there. Okay, so you can go do number 3. Moving down through the document to see if there's anything else, I have some tips. So here's tip 1, when writing a recursive method. So I'm thinking, okay, where should I stash this in the file? Well, it gives me a hint here. In the case of method number 3 above, there are 2 different cases that might cause you to return. Okay. Anything else? Recursion is mentioned in a couple different places, so I'll put it here, somewhere down here. I'll put a hint. Oh, I'm pasting from Acrobat, and it always turns together the F and the I into a glyph. So first figure out. Hopefully this hint will come in handy when I'm getting into writing the method. Different. Any other tips that might help here? Remember, you can use system current 10 millis to seed your random number generator to make it more random. Let's take that. Now, when am I generating my random number? Here, up here in method number 1. So I'm going to put a hint here that says what I just copied. The copy doesn't work perfectly because Acrobat, I'm pasting from Acrobat, but it's good enough for our purposes. The purpose is to just make it less necessary for us to go back and forth between the 2 documents. This, I don't really feel like I need a hint. And then the only other requirement here is JavaDoc requirements, and look at that! I've already done my JavaDoc requirements. So I hope this helps you find a strategy for transferring the requirements into your JavaDoc document. Use JavaDoc to your advantage here, because then you've kind of knocked that off the list, as well as prepared yourself to write the method definition perfectly.